now.
We've got Rotus here, and Rotus goes straight to it.
Yes, I mean, let's quickly start with on the globe. China, we are starting to see the impact of the U.S. curbs on chips exports to China. According to data from China's General Administration of Customs, they spent about $5 billion just on June-July on chip imports, and that's a 70% year-on-year increase from last year. Why? Because the United States is putting the squeeze on China. They are also working with Japan, working with the Netherlands in order to reduce the amount of chips that China gets in order to try to curb China's ambitions to build out its chip output. What the US is saying is go and build your own chips since you're so strong. I want to take a serious dig at BRICS at this point, but I'll leave it alone because, you know, we'll get there in a second. Anyway, most of these imports came from the Netherlands and Japan. It gives you an idea of who are the big girls and the big boys when it comes to chip production and where we are going with artificial intelligence. Very, very, very exciting period of time. How China is able to navigate this. Huawei says they want to start making chips. You saw what happened with Trump, who, by the way, tweeted yesterday his mugshot when he turned himself in Georgia. But with what the Trump clamping down on Huawei, it's a very fascinating space to watch. In the streaming world, we understand, according to the information, that Amazon is in talks with Disney over ESPN. Now, if you're, you know, I've lived in the States for like 12 years and watched ESPN. ESPN is a very, very popular a linear cable TV sports channel, 24/7. But unfortunately, Disney has been facing a lot of issues with respect to the fall in cable TV viewership. There's also issues with ad revenues falling and then the rising cost of programming. So we saw their subscriber numbers in the latest quarter, although that has something to do with cricket watchers in cricket viewership in India, where it was drastically reduced. So basically, according to the information, Amazon is in talks to maybe act as a distribution channel. They could take a minority stake in ESPN. But ESPN is still, I think their revenues was profit was like 3 billion in the last quarter. So it is still very, very profitable for the Disney empire. What else is good? Okay, BRICS. So BRICS announced 6 new members and Nigeria was not there. What? Argentina, that is broke and just got $7.5 billion from the IMF. Egypt, that also is looking for IMF money. Ethiopia is at war on its borders. Iran is under sanctions from the US with respect to the nuclear deal. Okay, the UAE, they're doing all right. Saudi Arabia, they're doing all right. But I thought, you know, hey, so the membership will begin in January of 2024. And China was the one spearheading this. Here is Xi Jinping and his quotes when this was announced. He said that this membership expansion is historic. It shows the determination of BRICS countries for unity and cooperation for the broader developing world. I would have asked him, why didn't you get your chips from any of these BRICS nations when the US placed its export curbs on you? But that's a different story. So that's what's happening with BRICS. What else is going on? Nigeria, well, I'll get to Nigeria in a second. Nigeria was not there. But, you know, our daddy, Shetima, he just came back from there. Okay, Hollywood strike is impacting major releases. Yesterday, Warner Brothers announced that they're going to be delaying some really big films. Dune 2, they've delayed, this strike, this is the Screen Actors Guild, the Writers Guild of America, the Directors Guild, all of them are actually striking over, it's over streaming and the fact that they want higher residuals and they want to be paid more for the work that they do on streaming services because they're not getting the same thing that they get from regular movies. So if you look at Dune, for example, Dune has been pushed back till, when is it now? Okay, March of next year. It was supposed to come out this November. If you look at what the first film made, it made over $400 million worldwide. So this is a very profitable franchise based on the novel, a book, Timothée Chalamet and Zendaya in this movie. They've delayed it, so there's risk there. There's also Godzilla vs. Kong. That also has been pushed back as well to April of next year from March. Also, the first Godzilla movie, $470 million, almost $500 million that it made, so very profitable. And then The Lord of the Rings as well. There's a new animated one, The War of Rohirrim. That also has been pushed from April to December. As you know, The Lord of the Rings, this is not even including The Hobbit, so this is just the first 3 movies. $2.9 billion in revenues for these films. So the thing here is that if you are pushing them back, you are facing a crowded release market next year in the new dates because there are other films that are coming out. You are facing the fact that, oh, by the way, see The Flash. Another thing is the actor, because of the strike, actors cannot promote the films, and that's what impacted The Flash. The Flash is going to cause Warner Brothers to lose about $200 million. It cost over $200 million to make, not including marketing and promotion. It was abysmal. I actually disliked the movie. It was really bad, but it was really impacted. Ezra Miller, who plays the Flash, had domestic violence charges against him. He broke into somebody's house. A Hollywood actor who is making money. I don't know why you're breaking into people's homes, but it severely impacted the film. Those are the risks that Warner Brothers Discovery could be facing with Dune, The Lord of the Rings, and Kong and Godzilla next year by pushing into a crowded market and also having to spend more on marketing and promotion. All right, I think we come to Africa now. You know when your dad or mom travels, you say, "Mommy, Daddy, what did you bring back for us?" Our vice president attended BRICS. There's a BRICS Development Bank, which was formed back in 2014. They say they've loaned out about $30 billion since that time. Nigeria needs foreign exchange. And this is the orientation I would like everyone to have. If any executive is leaving this country for any summit or anything, you need to come back with money. You need to come back with a big deal. And it is quite shocking that Nigeria was overlooked with respect to Ethiopia, Iran, and Argentina being added to BRICS. It would have been nice if he had come back with a few $1 billion in a deal he had signed, but unfortunately, that is not the case. And then I think you all already touched on the unemployment numbers. So basically, with the new calculation now, this number I've been hammering for so long, the 33% from Q4 2020. With the new methodology, you now come down to Q4 2022, 5.3%, and then Q1 2023, 4.1%. Now, the criteria is the particular key. This is what you have to look at in terms of how it's been calculated. So your sample size goes from 33,300 to 35,250. Your data collection, I do like this. Instead of collecting it quarterly under the old methodology, they're now going to be collecting this data weekly. Now, International Labour Organization, the adoption, it was the old methodology used the 13th ICLS resolutions. They're now using the 19th one. It's updated. And so this is where things now get, your working age population now increases to the extent that people over 64 still want to work. It was capped at 64. Now it's just 15 years and above. So that's going to increase your denominator when you are calculating the number of people who are actually looking for work and want to seek work. And then, of course, there's the issue of if you're still working, then maybe pensions and benefits and so on that could still be paid for those over 64 that still continue to work. Then the key one is, that's my own issue, is what they consider as employment. So previously under the old methodology, it was 20 hours and above weekly. Now it's just 1 hour a week. Now, unless you are a big shot lawyer or consultant who makes like $1,000 a minute, you can't really see how. This is the most controversial part, and the MBS did actually say it in that clip that we played, that yes, this is going to be pretty controversial. Then underemployment, this I think is where we probably see spikes, and youth unemployment is still going to be high. You work between 20 to 39 hours. Now they're saying for underemployment 1 to 39 hours plus available for more, and then unemployment below 20 hours, actively seeking and available for work, working 0 hours plus actively seeking. So that's where all the controversy is coming from. These are global standards. However, I mean, is Nigeria really 4% unemployment? And also, look, you don't even need to worry about that.
Answer
you can still
question.
use. No, it's not now. It doesn't reflect reality. No, but the thing is, this is Muda Yusuf, the CEO for the Center for Promotion of Private. He said this will be very controversial because the essence of employment is to earn a living. So if you work for an hour as an electrician and you earn about 1,000 naira a week, should you be regarded as employed? So that's what he should. But still, Nigeria's misery index is still very high as far as when you take unemployment, inflation, and so on. And so it's again not reacting. Not reflective of reality.
I think we've said enough about this. Yeah. I'm not going to react. I wanted to tell the story yesterday because the question is, where do we get Forex from? We can only get Forex from innovation. And I want to talk about the story of Ozempic this morning. Like I said, I was going to talk about yesterday. A pharmaceutical firm in Denmark made research about this drug, put this drug out there. It was supposed to be for diabetes, but they discovered another use for it, for weight loss. And this drug has been a big seller in America and other parts of the country. And what has this drug done? This drug single-handedly has brought more Forex into an economy more than ever before, the economy of Denmark. In fact, the market cap of this company is $416 billion as against the GDP of Denmark, which is about $406 billion. Now, Denmark is so awash with dollars that Nigeria is in dire need of, that they are using it, to be able to buffer their currency and strengthen their currency and the likes. We're talking about innovation yesterday. We're talking about chip. We're talking about NVIDIA. We're talking about everything. If we do not invest in research for the future, we're not going anywhere. This underground tapping oil economy, crude, will never take us any further except we start to add value. And how do we have value? We need to go back to our education system. We need to invest in research and innovation, except that we are joking and we keep begging for BRIC membership everywhere and begging for loans.
Yes.
All right, okay, so Rotus, it's just about BRICS because this conversation, and like you mentioned, Daddy, what did you bring back home for us? Number one is, was Nigeria applying? I mean, we finally had talked about this off. Were we looking to join BRICS? I don't think that was on the
our names weren't really there. I mean, they said they were considering over 20 nations.
Yes, whether and Nigeria was not mentioned. I think if Nigeria had applied to be a member of BRICS, it would have definitely been noted. So in terms of, and then because how would then position us, especially with our allies, with the West, with the US, the UK, France, if we joined BRICS. And even though, yes, in terms of money, there are still some issues in BRICS, especially amongst the member nations, India and China, not quite seeing eye to eye, even though trade has increased amongst the member nations. And then the countries who are joining on so many conversations, but I'm not sure it is a disadvantage yet to Nigeria not joining BRICS. There are other options.
Yeah, I just agree with you on all the points, and I'll say that Nigeria is non-aligned, so we cannot align with BRICS. Number two, Flash, major disappointment. I watched it too.
You saw it,
I saw the film, and I was so disappointed. So I'm not surprised it's a flop. And then finally, I would always refer to the fact that on this program we discussed it, and it was mentioned that the vice president going to BRICS, we would have expected all the CEOs, should have gone with him, and then you will bring money. But if they didn't go, then we will not see any results.
All right, thank you so much, Rotus.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Rotus.
Global Business Report at 11.
Yes, indeed.